folks, hello there. Welcome back to the lab. Well, another lantern project here, but here we have a high-top Vesta. This is a Dietz Vesta high-top. Yeah, it's significantly taller than other Vestas. Let's see. You can kind of see there. Yeah, those two on the right are high tops, and these ones are not. Notice how much taller. They're much taller. Yeah. The chimney there is extended as well. Oh, that's pretty cool. So yeah, here we have it. High top, and this is a New York Central. You see that right there, and you got New York Central right there. And I do believe that is not a globe of any color except clear. That's just a lot of carbon in there. And we'll get to the bottom of that carbon. But looks like it's all intact. Looks like it's all intact. I think whatever environment was in was all right. And I had noticed that. Yeah, look at that. S-3-22. Well, this is a 1922, man. This baby is over 100 years old. Probably had a story to tell, too. So we're going to get her cleaned up. It's a little nasty in some spots, but this is going to look beautiful. I have no doubt. But will it work without any repairs? We'll see. It looks like it's going to come apart. I haven't done anything to it except look at it. And so we're gonna dig in here. All right, let's go. Okay. Come on now. There you go. All right. I don't see any cracks. No cracks or chips. It's very nice. Very nice shape. We'll get that all beautifully cleaned up. Put that right back in there. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, this'll. Yeah. Oh, that makes me happy. Look at all the carbon. You can see the carbon here. So I think somebody ran this with no kerosene in it. Yeah, carbon's all up in there too. All up in there. So we'll get that. Big chunks. So this is another one of the lanterns from the Rusty Lantern Haul. So maybe there should be a link in the description here to all these Rusty Lanterns I picked up. So I'm trying to kind of, do them as close as I can to that particular video. So people that maybe watch regularly, have kind of a theme to continue with. So yeah, see, so like everything I've gotten from that so far, I very quickly had a pile of dust and dirt and shit to clean up. Nice new wick that was burned dry. Yeah, look at that. See that? That is burnt dry. Let me just cut that off before all the carbon gets all over everything. And that'll be trimmed for when we put it back in. Beautiful. Oof, man. It wasn't the wick making that hard to turn. It's just a hard turner, that's all. Okay, very hard turner. Wonder if that's by design. That's probably why there's a big wheel on it, in comparison. the other like that. You know what I mean? Pretty much same size burner, but you can see by the size of the cogwheel. So it's probably meant to have a tight tolerance for some reason. Okay, I'm gonna wanna get that burner out of there and clean it up. It looks like a mess under there from all that carbon. We'll see if I can get it out of here. There we go. Good. We'll get that all. So, I'm really not a fan. I'm not saying I hate them, but I'm not a fan of dead flame stuff. You know, like oil lamps and all that. And, you know, there's a good amount of these signal type, like warning and signal lanterns that are dead flame, which means no air tubes. But this is a Vesta. Vesta is a cold blast. See that? And there's your air return, or not return, but fresh airflow comes around, mixes with the exhaust, the warm exhaust air. Yeah. And then it comes out there, and there's your baffle, and there's where they come out there in the bottom. Now, in contrast, here's an upcoming project. So here is a Dietz 8-day lantern, and no air tubes on this. So this, you know, I consider this a dead flame. This is very cool, though. This is very cool. That's why I grabbed it. And because this has got, I have an 8-day Fresnel globe. This is actually a Dietz Night Watch globe that's in here. They may be exactly the same. I have yet to do this project, so I'm not checking that out until I do the project. So that's why it's all dirty and sitting just like that. That is my joy for doing these videos, is you and I are both the first to do many of the things here. You know, opening up and looking and seeing what there is. I don't jump the gun on that. Makes it more fun for you and for me, maybe. Again, this will clean up just right. This is really going to be nice, I think. So I'm just kind of sampling here with my brass brush. Because I'm curious. I just kind of want to see what's going on here before I go to the bench grinder. I just want to see. Wow, look how thick this one is, man. That is heavy duty compared to other Vestas, man. Look at that. It's severe. Severe. Let me go to the bench grinder. Yeah, the bench grinder is right here. This is very mild. This is very weak, by the way. I could almost stop this with my hand without doing too much damage. And this is a fine wire. And once it got broken in, I used the one before this. I used until there was like barely that much wire left. I used it for like 10 years doing lanterns and things. And when I first put this on, I was freaking out because I almost wrecked something. But that's because it was brand new, and the tips of all these wires were all squared off and rough. So what I did was, like, I polished up things like this sledgehammer head and that thing that was all rusty, that horseshoe, a fake horseshoe. But I used them to just really work this and wear down those edges so they're rounded off. Now it's nice and mild. And you're hearing a shortwave radio going here, a couple ham radio guys. I like to have that in the background when I'm working here. And I gotta watch the volume. Somebody did make a comment that it was a little distracting. So, but the thing is, when you have a radio this old, this is like an 86-year-old radio. They didn't have the kind of electronics that could, you know, deaden a stronger signal you know, bring a strong signal to the same volume level as a weak signal. This, the closer somebody is, the louder it is. I mean, you could have somebody way far there, and you got to really crank it up, and then you could blow up the thing when somebody real close comes on it. So it doesn't have any of those electronics for like noise canceling or regulation. I don't know how to word it, but you know what I'm saying. All right, let me go over to the bench grinder here with this, and then we'll be back to continue the beauteous cleaning of this Vesta high top. Okay. Well, yeah, much improved. There was some shit on here, man. There was some shit. Really coated with stuff down here at the bottom. It must have been just sitting in some kind of oily, greasy, or cement-like environment. But yeah, pretty much everywhere. Well, the places that we could get to. So cage is in nice shape, no rust. Yeah, well, it's a little chewy. It's a little chewy, but we're gonna make it look real nice. That's brass. We'll clean that up. Yeah, this is gonna be just wonderful. So I think what we're gonna do now, I am gonna go to a junk pit and get the big pieces off here, and get in the corners and things with a wheel. That came out real nice. Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, so let's get a pointy bit on here, or sorry, junk bit, and do some junk work. There's a junk bit. Shredded nylon bit from the last lantern. Okay, let's get after it with the junk bit. Okay, so we got the chunkage off with that, but definitely what we need is wire wheel and pointy bit. There's lots of nooks and crannies here. This is quite the English muffin here. So we're gonna go to a wheel. If I have to, I'll go to a fresher one. This one's still got some meat on it, but that's what one looks like new right there. And I'm putting a little bit of length on it here in case I need to get around things. Okay, here we go. Wire wheel action. worked out well with the wheel. Now I think we're going to go right to pointy bit. Probably going to want to start a new pointy bit though. All right, we'll start with this one. Maybe I'll put a new one on here. We'll see what kind of issues we're having, what we're going to need it for. Okay, so chewed up pointy bit. Gonna go do pointy bit things. Here we go. All right, so there are some issues. I think an 800 grit will clear up. Those are 400. Getting low. Getting low on 800. So 800 is going to solve a lot of problems here. Smooth things out real nice. And all right, this is our next step. So it's so heavy, heavy. Not I don't want to say corrosion, but it may just be carbon and just crap from fuel and spilled fuel and it burning and hot things getting on it and sizzling, and so it's quite a buildup. But I may just want to leave. You know, I'm not going to go nuts trying to get it off because I kind of want to leave that there. You know, a little patina here and there. Which this thing has got plenty. All right, so let's go on here with 800 grit, and then we'll throw some steel wool on it. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty. All right, 800 grit. Now we're gonna hit it with some steel wool, and then we'll treat it, man. This it was easy to tell that this was gonna clean up this nice. And we'll find all kinds of patina when we go to treat it. A delightful side effect of treatment. Inside of the fountain looks awesome. Yeah, not bad for 104 years old, right? Wow. Yeah. And we'll reassemble this when assembly time comes. We'll tighten up these little things here, hold the burner in. All right, let's dig in. Hey, Ziggy. Tell me the history of New York Central Railroad.
The New York Central Railroad has a fascinating history dating back to 1853. It was formed by consolidating 10 smaller railroads between Albany and Buffalo, with Erastus Corning as its first president. The railroad eventually expanded to connect New York City with Chicago and other major cities, becoming one of the largest in the United States. Would you like to learn more about Erastus Corning, the first president of New York Central Railroad?
Sure.
Erastus Corning was a visionary businessman who helped form the New York Central Railroad in 1853 by consolidating 10 smaller railroads. He was also a four-time mayor of Albany and ran his own ironworks that supplied materials for the railroad.
Neat. Ziggy, did the New York Central Railroad go through Canandaigua, New York?
Yes, the New York Central Railroad did run through Canandaigua, New York. It operated a line known as the Peanut Line between Canandaigua and North Tonawanda. The Peanut Line was a nickname for the New York Central Railroad branch between Canandaigua and North Tonawanda. It got its name when a railroad executive called it only a peanut of a line in the 1850s.
All right, here we are. We are steel wooled, and we are ready to treat. Yeah, so we got all those little areas cleaned up. You can see, so like in the inside of here, and right around here, that's where all the major heat was. So yeah, there's some oxidation left there, and that's cool. That's what we want to leave there. Oxidation all around on here. Patina. Yes, workhorse. This thing was a little workhorse, I'm sure. Could have been a workhorse right here in Canandaigua as the New York Central came through. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to throw some linseed oil on this stuff. But yeah, beautiful. Okay, let's throw some oil. Actually, first, steel wool dust off everything. Steel wool dust bad. Oops. All right, so we're gonna oil her up. Oh, I gotta go clean the globe yet. There we go. Yeah. So this is treatment. This is to help preserve from further weathering. Humid weather in the Northeast here. And I've said this in past videos, depending on where you live. Maybe you're like, in Utah or something like that. And you just don't get humidity. I mean, here, like, 70% humidity is just like normal around here. But, so this, this stuff you wouldn't have to really treat it much with anything except maybe like WD-40 or gun oil. But this linseed oil I have found works best in my climate here. But even if you are in those climates and you really like the way that these look when I'm done, you can very well, you can still treat it with linseed oil and wipe it off, to the desired sheen that you like. You don't have to be in a particular weather zone to enjoy the way it looks. See that? See all that beautiful darkness? That patina comes out, all that wear. Beautiful. We are oiled up. Nice. Looks very nice. All right. Now, let's get this back together. Which ones did I push in? That one and that one. Okay. That's ready. Nice and clean.
Yeah, there's many a different, they're more or less a Turner style.
Ugh. Ouch. Yeah, like I said, man, these things turn hard. There we go. Quick. It's ready to roll.
Frequency response must match up with that radio good.
Click. Nice. All right. Now, I'm going to go clean up that globe. So why don't I go do that right now. All right. There we have it. Very nice. Still a little. There was a lot. There was a lot of shit to get off this. This thing had been sitting for a long time without being used. Now that I'm under this good light. All right. Beautiful. Okay, so. Beautiful. All right. Pop the globey in there.
Maybe 55, 60, might have got up to around 60 degrees. It's probably down to 50 degrees here now. But it was pretty clear.
Look at that. Very nice. Okay.
It was really warm. The beginning of the day.
We are done.
We had up to
We are done.
degrees here. I don't think I don't know how long it's been since it's been.
So yeah, here we go.
9 degrees.
Central.
But of course that
New York Central.
when that storm came through, that wiped that all.
New York Central, right there. Great. Oh yeah, you can see lots of beautiful patina
Put the shorts,
all around.
you know, I wore shorts and a tank top. You know, I mean, I could have been,
But
you know,
it is in wonderful shape. Yeah. Wonderful shape all around here, man. Very nice. Okay, well, that is going to do it. By the way, that's Corning CNX. That is kind of Corning's invention of, Pyrex, pretty much. That is their hardened glass. Let's see it next. There we have it. So this is going to be it here for us. And until next time, folks. Hey, don't you go changing.
We'll be back with the Magic Tunes for the Armada Room's 2-hour disco swing party after this short break. Till then, don't you go changing.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.